You never meet anyone by accident. Take a moment. Not to scroll. Not to rush. Just pause. Think about the people who crossed your life and left a mark. Not the strangers you forgot 5 minutes later. Not the background faces in a crowded day. I mean the ones you still remember. The ones you think about in silence. The ones whose names still carry a feeling. The ones who appeared out of nowhere and somehow changed the direction of your story. Out of billions of people. Why them? Why did you meet them and not someone else? Why did they arrive when they arrived? Because timing is the part we ignore. We love to say coincidence because it's easy. Coincidence is a comfortable word. It doesn't demand responsibility. It doesn't demand honesty. Coincidence lets you pretend nothing meant anything. It lets you keep moving without looking back, without looking inward. But some encounters don't allow that. Some meetings don't feel random. They feel precise. They feel like a door opening at the exact moment you needed to walk through it, even if you didn't know you needed it. And maybe that's the first truth. You don't always recognize meaning when it's happening. Sometimes meaning comes later. Sometimes it comes after pain, after distance, after a version of you has ended. Life doesn't always explain itself in real time. Life rarely speaks in clear sentences. It doesn't send instructions. It doesn't hand you a map. Instead, life speaks through people. Through what they trigger in you. Through what they awaken. Through what they disturb. Through what they reveal. That's why encounters are powerful. Because people reach places inside you that logic can't reach. A person can say one sentence and change your entire week. A person can look at you a certain way and bring back an old wound you thought was gone. A person can enter your life gently and make you feel safe again. Or enter loudly and make you question everything you believed about yourself. And here's the thing. It's not always the best people who change you. Sometimes, the ones who shift you the most are the ones you would never choose. If you could see the ending. But life isn't designed around your comfort. It's designed around your growth. Now, let's talk about something that happens to almost everyone. You meet different people, but it feels like you keep living the same story. Different faces, different names, different places, but the same emotional outcome, the same disappointment, the same attachment, the same pattern where you give too much, or accept too little, or stay too long. And you start thinking, why do I always attract this kind of person? Why do I always end up here? Is something wrong with me? But repetition is not proof that you're broken. Repetition is proof that there is something unfinished. Life repeats what you haven't resolved. Not because it hates you. Not because it wants you to suffer. But because the lesson is still waiting for your attention. Sometimes life whispers first. A small sign. A small discomfort. A small red flag. If you ignore it, life doesn't stop. It speaks louder. It sends a stronger version of the same lesson. A more intense person. A more dramatic outcome. A deeper emotional impact. Not to punish you. To wake you up. Because some truths don't enter quietly. Some truths need to shake the room. And this is why familiar is dangerous. Have you ever met someone and felt an instant familiarity? Not the warm kind. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that feels like déjà vu. The kind that feels like you already know how this will end. That familiarity is not always love. Sometimes it's a pattern recognizing its own shape. It's your nervous system recognizing a dynamic. It's an old wound sensing a familiar environment. It's a belief you learned long ago searching for proof again. Familiar doesn't mean right. Familiar often means repeated. And now we get to the deeper point. People often enter your life for reasons you don't see at first. Some come to wake you up. Some come to reflect you. Some come to test you. Some come to remind you. And some come to end something that needed to end. Let's slow down and look at these. Some people are awakening encounters. They disturb your comfort. They disrupt your routine. They make you feel emotions you've avoided. They may appear as chaos, but their purpose is clarity. They force you to see what you were pretending not to see. Maybe you were settling. Maybe you were living small. Maybe you were doing what was expected instead of what was true. Then someone arrives, and suddenly you can't keep lying to yourself. They don't always stay, but they don't need to. A person can awaken you in one season and leave you changed for years. Other people are mirror. Encounters. They show you parts of yourself you don't want to face. They trigger jealousy you didn't admit existed. They expose insecurity you tried to hide behind confidence. They reveal your fear of abandonment, your fear of rejection, your fear of being seen. These people are uncomfortable because mirrors are honest. And when you don't like what you see, it's easier to blame the mirror than to question the reflection. But the purpose of a mirror is not to shame you. It's to show you where healing is still needed. And then there are boundary encounters. These people come to teach you the cost of not protecting yourself. They teach you what happens when you say yes, or your body is screaming no. They teach you what happens when you abandon your needs to keep peace. They teach you what happens when you shrink yourself to be loved. Some people enter your life to reveal a simple truth. If you don't set boundaries, life will set them for you. Through exhaustion, resentment, and eventually loss. And then there are reminder encounters. These are the rare ones. They remind you of your worth. They remind you of your softness. They remind you that you are not only your scars. Sometimes they come as a friend. Sometimes as a stranger. Sometimes as a short conversation that lands in your heart like a message. They don't always stay long, but they stay long enough to make you remember who you were before survival became your personality. Now here's what most people miss. The timing of these encounters is never random. People don't usually arrive when life is calm. They arrive when something is shifting. When an old version of you is collapsing. When you're questioning your direction. When you're outgrowing the life you built. Because transformation doesn't wait until you feel ready. Life brings the next chapter when you're no longer able to stay in the previous one. And that's why so many encounters happen at the worst time. When you're tired. When you're vulnerable. When you feel lost. But maybe that's exactly when you can hear the message. Because when you're comfortable, you don't change. When you're comfortable, you repeat. It's discomfort that creates movement. Now let's talk about something else that hurts. People leaving. Because we focus so much on who arrives, we forget that leaving is also part of the design. Some people are not meant to stay. Not because you weren't enough. Not because you failed. Not because love wasn't real. Sometimes someone leaves because their role is complete. They came to teach you something. And once you learned it, or once the lesson reached its limit, they had to go. And their absence feels like a wound because it forces you to face something you avoided. It forces you to face your attachment. It forces you to face your fear. It forces you to face the parts of you that depended on them. But listen carefully. Absence is not always emptiness. Sometimes absence is space for a boundary you never had. Space for a truth you refuse to accept. Space for a new version of you. Some people leave, and you finally breathe again, not because you stopped loving them, but because you stopped abandoning yourself. And sometimes you don't understand any of this in the moment. Sometimes you're in the middle of the story, and it feels confusing, unfair, unfinished. That's normal. Meaning doesn't always arrive with the event. Meaning often arrives after reflection, months later, years later. You look back and suddenly understand. That encounter redirected your life. That person forced you to grow. That ending saved you from a future you couldn't see. And you realize something uncomfortable but true. Some people you begged to stay were never meant to build a life with you. They were meant to build you. They were meant to reveal what you tolerate, what you excuse, what you chase, what you fear, what you believe you deserve. Because every encounter mirrors your inner world. Life doesn't send random people. Life sends the people that match your current frequency, your beliefs, your wounds, your standards, your boundaries. And when you change internally, your encounters change externally. That's why growth is lonely sometimes. Because when you evolve, the old dynamics no longer fit. You can't return to who you were after you've seen what you've seen. And that's the real point. You never meet anyone by accident. Every encounter is a message. Sometimes the message is, wake up. Sometimes the message is, heal this. Sometimes the message is, stop repeating. Sometimes the message is, choose yourself. Sometimes the message is, remember who you are. And sometimes the message is simply, this chapter is ending. If you don't understand the reason behind someone yet, don't force it. Understanding can't be rushed. It arrives when you're ready to receive it. But you can always ask yourself one powerful question. What is this person trying to teach me about myself? Not what are they doing wrong? Not why are they like this? But what is this revealing in me? Because the real transformation is internal. And when you understand the lesson, you stop repeating the pattern. You stop calling it coincidence. You start seeing life as a conversation where every meeting is part of your becoming. No encounter was random.